Philemon.
Good afternoon.
Without wasting time, yes, thank you. I appreciate you all. Without wasting time, we'll commence the afternoon session so that we can have enough time to at least contribute and ask questions afterward. Praise, can you mute yourself? Yeah. So, let me share my screen. Maybe, I don't know. We'll just give like 2 more minutes for more people to join. Then I'll start. So hopefully I'll start in ENS by 1:04.05, thereabout.
Good afternoon, sir.
Comfort, you're welcome.
Thank you. So sorry, sir. You were answering my question and the network just logged me out.
Okay. Yes. Maybe while we wait to start, can you remind us of the question again? And any other person, if you have morning issues that were not addressed in the morning session, you can raise it now so that about it briefly before we continue. Remind me again.
Sir. My question was that is the EIA necessary for food and beverage industry, and also the work of NAFDAC, is it enough, or should NESERA be involved in production?
Okay, whether NESRA should be involved in what again?
Food and beverage production. You know, NAFDAC have been doing that, but is that what they are doing, is it good enough? Or should NESERA be involved?
Okay, yeah, those are sector-specific, there are sector-specific guidelines guiding the role and action, or activities rather, of NAFDAC. Just as the name implies, NAFDAC, it has to do with food and drugs, okay? And there are specifications, there are, how will I put it, there are guidelines, sectorial guidelines specific to that particular sector. When you talk about NESRA have mandate for implementation or for enforcement rather of activities or laws that are related to the environment. Good and fine. If you are into nutrition business, let's say production of how will I put it? Of
helps and all of that.
Yes, something that is to be consumed. As long as your activities don't have a direct impact on the environment, you don't bring in those people. But when in case you are going to establish your business gets, hello? Somebody want to make a comment?
Yes, sir. Because, sorry, concerning her question, I think
Nigeria also has their own roles, just like you are saying. And their
Yeah.
role is environmental protection. So
Yes.
there are regulations guiding the industry. So if you are into production, NAFDAC is focused on the safety of the food product.
Yes.
The Nigeria is focused on the safety of the environment. The processes,
Mm-hmm.
the industrial processes that you are engaged in, do they affect the environment?
Yeah.
If yes, then Nigeria is involved. NAFDAC is also involved in ensuring that the quality of the product you are putting out is safe for people to consume. Whatever the information you are giving out in terms of nutritional value is 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 actually what you have said
Is
it is.
adequate, yes.
All right. Thank you for that contribution. And in addition, if some of the byproduct or the waste from your nutrition business is going to affect the environment, like single-use plastic and whatever, you can also have some visit from NESRA too. So all those there are guidelines for each of them. So maybe when you read those guidelines as it relates to your company or your business, you get to know the details there. Sorry, Justina, you want to say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I dropped a question earlier asking if there is a major difference between ESIA, ESMP, and then SESA, aside from they being used in different project categories.
Okay, you dropped a question on the chat, va?
Yes, that was earlier in the morning class.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. I was rushing to round up. You say whether there's difference between EIA, ESIA. Hmm?
ESIA,
Uh,
ESMP, and as well as SESA, aside the fact that ESIA and ESMP are used in different project categories. Is there
yes.
another major difference between them?
They have their specific use. Well, you get to discover that maybe when we get to the next phase of the class, that will be in the next class. You get to when we start going through the AIA process itself, okay, you get to discover
Okay, sir.
that it's a tool meant for specific purpose. Like we said before, the AIA is for when the impact of the project is significant, sometimes irreversible, and then the scope is actually wide, of the impact is wide, and so on. So ESIA comes in there, and then ESMP, as we said before, is the component of the ESIA, okay? But
Yes,
it
sir.
can also stand alone when the project don't involve when the impact of the project, some of them are irreversible, they can be mitigated, and so on and so forth. So all of them have their specific usage. Like when you have to displace people, you must do a resettlement action plan that have to come in. If you are using pesticide, your pesticide is it the management plan also have to come in as well too. So there are specific usage of those tools. Remember, we said they are instruments that you have to use whenever you are designing your project as well as executing the project as well too. And the World Bank or any other funders you are going to discover in the class today, they need to see this document. Okay, like the ESMP shows you the environmental impact of your project, how it affects air quality, how it affects noise, how it affects different sectors of the environment and even the way of life of the people. Now, what are the mitigation measures you are putting forward, you are suggesting? Are they adequate enough? what is the cost of those mitigation measures, that they are proposing, and who is responsible to carry them out? Is it a contractor? Is it the Federal Ministry of Environment? And who is the person supervising to see that that particular mitigation measure is being carried out? The ESMP will bring them out. At the end of the day, they will total everything to see that the cost of mitigation doesn't even outweigh the cost of the project itself. Sometimes, if you see some project, I'm going to be showing you some ESMP samples, and then you are going to see how much the World Bank, in fact, when you get to the info shop of the World Bank and you download some ESMPs that are there, you get to discover that a lot of millions of dollars sometimes are spent on these mitigation actions that are carried out within a project cycle. So the funders need to look at it in order to take an informed decision as concerning a project as well too. And it's also like a guide to the contractor as well too, so that they don't, a guide, in fact, it's the working document that the contractor uses, even the Federal Ministry of Environment uses, NESRA also uses it too, okay, during the project cycle. Philemon, you may say something briefly. Philemon, your hand is down. Okay. All right. So we have just 1 hour in this afternoon session. I think we can just go straight to the roles and responsibilities of different stakeholders that are within the EIA process. Just a minute. So we are going to be looking at 9 of them, 9 of the stakeholders in the EIA process. And we'll start with the Federal Ministry of Environment. The Federal Ministry of Environment as the #1 stakeholder in the EIA process. Remember in the last class, I told you that the Federal Ministry of Environment was established in 1999 at the beginning of the civilian administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo. And from the Federal Ministry, before that time, the environmental responsibility in Nigeria was mainly handled by the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, which was created by the Federal Environmental Protection Agency Act in that Decree 58 of 1988. So in 1999, that FEPA, Federal Environmental Protection Agency, and related units from ministries were merged together to form a new ministry called the Federal Ministry of Environment. So it is actually a part of federal government administrative restructuring. There is no particular law or an act of the National Assembly that brought them to be per se, although it has been formalized and placed into law already. So its responsibility or mandate, it was mandated by law to have the following responsibilities. 1, to organize the EIA procedure by undergoing screening and guiding developer on assessment procedures. Okay. They conduct public hearing and reviewing of EIA reports. This one, they do it a lot, based on the terms of reference, and also they take decision on approval or disapproval of proposed project. So based on your EIA that you have written, and after reviewing the document, okay, the decision can be to approve it or to disapprove the project. It is the Federal Ministry of Environment that have that sole right. Then monitoring and implementation of environmental protection measures as recommended by the EIA studies, especially when you put in mitigation measures. that, okay, you are going to you are going to pollute the air with particulate matter as dust is going to be rising as a result of your construction project which are carrying out. Okay, the monitoring and implementation of environmental protection measures as recommended in that EIS, that report, is the Federal Ministry of Environment that also carries it out. So there are a few points that have been listed here. This is not all about what the Federal Ministry of Environment does, but just to highlight few points. This is one of the questions that we normally ask in the past sessions that have in the exams, and tell you to mention at least 5 of the relevant parties that are involved in the EIA process and their roles. I just mentioned like 3 or 4 roles in each of them. So Federal Ministry of Environment is one of them. Then the second is the project proponent. When we talk about the proponent, is the developer, the initiator of the project and the EIA process. That is the developer itself, or the project proponent. So if asked a question that if Dangote Group want to carry out a refinery project or a cement factory project, who is the proponent in that case? Is the Dangote Group itself. NNPC, when they're involved in the oil pipeline and exploration project, the Boa Group, Shell, and so on, and MTN for telecommunication and infrastructural projects. I hope you know that there are also sectorial guidelines for how they mount their substations. Telecommunication, APEF, please mute. Igbala, APEF, please mute. So, the proponents are the initiators of the project, and their responsibility is to prepare and submit the proposals to relevant authorities, to also commission the EIA study through accredited consultants. Please, host, can you mute Mr. Apef? Host, can you please mute the person disturbing us? It's distracting me. Thank you. Okay, all right. I didn't check that, sorry.
Remember, what I want to do now, I want to keep on non-general.
No. I think there should be a general muting. Everybody can talk. Everybody can unmute themselves. So they should just mute us generally, sir. Thank you.
You know, it's difficult when you are the host to also be, and you are talking and you are muting other persons. So if possible, when give me the co-host responsibility so that another person can be doing the muting at the background for me. I will appreciate that, class rep later, please. Because no matter how you give information, there are these people that will never grab the ethics of a platform like this. They always come in making noise, not knowing. Sometimes they do it without knowing. So, and they come in, distract the class entirely. So somebody else can just be at the background. They're assisting whoever is talking, muting them. All right, thank you. We move on. Let me see. Permit me to minimize my screen. Okay. So they prepare and they submit project proposal to relevant authorities. And they commission the EIS through the accredited consultant. Yes. This is where you and I come in. Like I said in the last class, you are not too small to start your own consultancy, but you need to get the accreditation by the Federal Ministry of Environment. It's not a very big deal. They all show your interest. They will call you. They will ask you questions to be sure that you know your onions. And when you prove your worth, they will give you accreditation in that respect. I think they conduct that every year. I can't remember again. Maybe someone will provide information on that. Also, the proponents also they provide necessary data and information for the assessment, and they implement mitigation measures that will be said in the EMP, and they ensure compliance with environmental regulations and monitoring requirements. Because once visits are made to the site, it is you that is the project proponent that will be held directly responsible for whatever is going on the site, irrespective of the contractor you are using or whoever you are consulting. So these are some of the roles of the project proponent. We move to the third one, that is the EIA consultant. I say you and I come in. So there are several of them. You can come up with a very wonderful name for your company. These are some of the companies that are known to carry out EIA projects in Nigeria: Greenfield Environmental Consultant, Environmental Accord, GeoConsult. You can come up with your own wonderful name too. Their role is directly that of technical expert in conducting the EIA study. And also, they conduct scoping to identify key issues and stakeholders. They perform the baseline environmental studies. They predict the environmental impact. And we are going to do that today as part of our assessment. Okay. There's the positive and then the negative impact of projects. So they predict it, they propose mitigation measures, monitoring and management strategies. They prepare the EIA report, which is also called the EIS, Environmental Impact Statement, with legal and technical guidelines. They also facilitate public consultation and stakeholders engagement. Then the regulatory authorities are also part of it. Yes, the Ministry of Environment is here too, and you can also notice that I mentioned NESRA here. NESRA is the National Environmental Standard and Regulation Enforcement Agency. In the last class, somebody also mentioned that in the petroleum sector, we have the NOSTRA. There are also regulatory bodies. Then we have the State Ministry of Environment. Yes. Like in Lagos State, we have the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. In Benue, it is the BENSEPA. Okay. There are government bodies that oversees and enforce EIA regulations, as simple as that. So we want to break it down. You can say that there's screen projects to determine the need for an EIA. There's set terms of reference for the EIA study, and then they review and approve EIA reports and also monitor compliance. That is what NESRA does a lot. EIA approval condition, and then they enforce environmental regulation and apply penalties for non-compliance. You can hear when the speaker about NOSRA informed us that if you are found violating or found to be culpable in messing up the environment as a result of your activity or spillage, you could pay as much as 10 million as penalty. So the regulatory bodies, they are in
Can't hear anything.
Right, thank you. Sorry, I'm back.
Okay, sir.
So as I was saying, I said the local communities and the public, they are very important. And you need to adequately carry them along during your stakeholder engagement. Ensure that there's no conflict that needs to be, there's no conflict as a result of the project. In fact, the funders usually pay close attention to this aspect, your stakeholder engagement report, okay, to be sure that you involve the right set of people and that it was inclusive enough. The women group, if it has to do with the hunters, if it has to do with the farmers, you need to carry them along. Something happened in our universities and it's affecting us in the Joseph Sawantaka University, former Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi. When the land for that particular university was purchased, we understand that stakeholder engagement was done, but it was not properly carried out. I know that university was established during the military regime. As the stakeholder engagement, according to reports we got later, was not properly, money was given for it. But the lawyers that they used that did the stakeholder engagement, just called few set of people and, the usual thing happened, and then they felt they have done it. But after some years now, you see the immediate community, they are beginning to feel that their land was taken from them without proper compensation. So the younger generation that didn't know, all those people that were giving some money back then, they have spent it, some of them have died. Now the younger generation, they are revolting seriously. So most times when we conduct our experiments, especially those of us in the College of Agronomy, we plant our crops, they will wait for it until it's close to harvest. You see that they just come and harvest everything just to frustrate our effort. And that is coming as a result of the fact that stakeholder engagement was not properly done when the land was purchased. That university have brought a lot of development to that area. But you see that some people are still feeling bad. The other day, I saw a student that was telling me that where my college is presently, that was where his grandfather was buried. I said, oh, why are you bringing this up? He's feeling worried that the college is situated on top of and that proper compensation was not done to him and for his family. So for such, whatever they feel, they don't feel that sense of ownership for that particular project, the university project. They don't feel it. They rather see it as something that came to inconvenience them. So they are actually very, very important in the EIA process. They are the affected or interest parties in a project area. They participate in public consultation and provide local knowledge. They express concern, needs, expectations. They also monitor project impact during implementation and advocate for community rights and environmental justice. In part of the group work we are going to carry out tomorrow against Friday, like I said, we're going to see much of that, how if stakeholder engagement is not properly done, it can lead to the failure of a project. Then we have the NGOs, non-governmental organization and civil society. Examples of them are like the Environmental Right Action, Friends of the Earth, Nigeria Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, Women Environmental Program, and then Health of Mother Earth Foundation, and so many of them that are directly involved in the environmental sector. They are independent watchdogs and they are advocates for what? Sustainable development. Their responsibility is to monitor the AIA process and ensure transparency. So during your stakeholder engagement, you have to involve some of these people, okay, for that inclusivity and to show that you are not restricting it to just the community alone. NGOs were also involved. They raise awareness and educate communities on environmental issues. In Benue State here, there are a lot of them that are involved in environmental related activities. We have Acrisal is there. Then we have one community, I've forgotten the acronym for it. Maybe later on I'll pick that up. Then is a community initiative something. So there are lots of them. You can involve them during the EIA process, even during your stakeholder engagement as well too. Then they provide technical support and alternative perspectives. They hold developers and regulators accountable as well too, because some of them, based on their objectives, they have the mandate to also look into that aspect of environmental protection too. And they are monitored. Activities are also regulated and monitored by the Federal Ministry of Environment. The seventh one is the financier, the donor agencies. World Bank, like this project that we are in, was funded by the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the International Finance Corporation, the Development Bank of Nigeria, all of them, if they are funding a particular project now, based on international best practice, you have to show them environmental impact assessment. Okay, so they are part of the process as well too. They ensure environmental due diligence, because at the end of the day, if the due diligence is not done, they are the one that will still release the money to pay for mitigation, have to pay for the court cases. They require compliance with the environmental and social safeguards. These are already prepared documents. In fact, the World Bank have theirs. Remember, we talked about the ESS 1 to 10 in the last class, and how the World Bank guides it jealously. Every project is subjected to those 10 ESS. And once any of them is being triggered by your project, you have to address it as part of your mitigation. Is this something you can mitigate, or something you can avoid, something you can minimize? Is this something you can rectify, or something you can compensate for? Then they monitor the project to ensure adherence to agreed mitigation measures. So sometimes you just hear that the World Bank is sending their uh, M&E department personnel to come and see how far IPES is doing the work over here. And they are coming with the agreement IPES and the Federal Ministry of Environment has, as well as NUC have. They are going to take a look at it. Are we deviating? Are we following it based on how it is being done? So the donors and the financer, they have that responsibility of monitoring the project in line with what is inside the environmental impact statement. Then the academic and research institutions. Like in UI, we have you have a University of Ibadan, Center for Sustainable Development, like in University of Nsukka, we have the environment. Okay, sorry, there was something else I deleted from there. Then in Joseph Sawantaka University, we have the Department of Environmental Sustainability, which you and I are in. Okay, those ones are they provide knowledge and technical advice. You are going to carry out research. Okay, after your second semester, and from that research, the outcome of your research is going to form pool of information that will help in the in providing knowledge that will improve the environmental and social impact studies in Nigeria based on the output of your research. So they are also part of the EIA process. They also offer scientific input and peer reviews that develop methodologies. Peer reviews, like I said, we have experts in our universities that review EIA reports. I mentioned of Professor Shonke. I've seen him doing that. They develop methodologies and tools for environmental assessment. They provide training and capacity building, what we are doing at the moment. Capacity building, training. All right. Then the judiciary, their work comes to be whenever there are litigations. You have the federal high courts. These are for cases against oil companies for environmental degradation. Those ones, they go to the federal high court. Then we have the National Environmental Standard Tribunal. I think if reactivated, their work is to also they handle environmental issues. And then the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, they are usually for final dispute resolutions. Once some of those courts pass a judgment as concerning any of the environment-related cases or dispute may be having, that can be the final judgment. Their role generally is for dispute regulation and legal enforcement. So breaking it down, so they educate environmental dispute, they also interpret EIA laws and regulations. It may not look as simple as we read it, but when a lawyer or somebody from the judicial system reads those words, every letter means something else. And that's why it's good sometimes you also have your legal department to help you understand the implication of some of the statements which you are signing across so that you don't go to the field and do anyhow, as our people will say. Enforce compliance through legal orders and also sanctions. You can be doing something and based on the agreements and the court can order you to stop or to order you to do otherwise. So that is also part of what they do. So the EIA process is the various stages a project undergo from the proposal to the approvals as well as for implementation, resulting in issuing of the environmental impact statement and the certificate. So the process encompasses several stages. One, that is determining if the Federal Ministry of Environmental Laws regulation have been triggered, the screening of the project, the scoping to determine the spatial and temporal dimension of environmental effects, and then to carry out detailed baseline studies. We'll discuss more of that tomorrow, and to prepare detailed assessment report and also carry out a panel review of the AI report if necessary, and upon obtaining authorization and approval, okay, and then obtaining authorization and approval where necessary. So who prepares this report? The report is either prepared by the government or the ministry or the proponent of the project. So based on the EIA law, the government or the proponent of the project may opt to hire a consultant. And that is where you and I come in, like I kept emphasizing. Okay, you can come in to do the EIA for the proponent of the project or for the Federal Ministry of Environment. So dream big to see how you can become an accredited consultant with the Federal Ministry of Environment. So the EIA study team usually is multidisciplinary. Odaudu Mordecai, please. All right. It's multidisciplinary in nature because you don't know everything. Even you that is the consultant that is preparing the EIA document, you don't know everything. You have to involve the biologists, somebody in soil science. You have to involve somebody that have vast knowledge of how will I put it, architecture. Can also somebody that have vast knowledge of civil engineering. If it is in the forestry line, a forester, somebody with information, so it's multidisciplinary in nature. And the report is prepared using systematic interdisciplinary approach, incorporating all relevant analytical disciplines to provide a meaningful and factual data, information, and analysis. So the presentation of data should be clear and concise, not verbosity, and it should not be ambiguous in nature. The details provided should be commensurate with the extent and expected impact of action and the amount of information required at a particular level of decision making. So the information should just be correct and it should be clear, concise. So the Federal Ministry of Environment certifies consultants and then the reviewers. Only research institutions and limited liability companies of proven competence are certified. So after reviewing your documents and interviewing you, they find out that you don't have competency in carrying out an EIA study, you will never be certified. Okay? Okay, all right. So how to apply for environmental impact assessment? To apply for an environmental impact assessment in person, the applicant, you have to visit the office of the Federal Ministry of Environment. And before visiting to apply, the applicant should make payments required for the registration process. You complete the EIA registration form. It should be online now. You take the printed RRR number to any commercial bank. I have to generate your remitter for payment. Registration of 50,000 naira. I don't know whether it's still the same today. The receipt of payment should be submitted to the office to obtain the project registration notification form. You complete the form as required with the necessary details and information in the respective field. We'll show you some of the information that are required. Then you attach document listed in the required document section of the page. Then submit the application form and supporting document to the relevant office at relevant officials at the office. So some of the required documents, the AIA is a completed application form, number one. So in the exam, I may ask of this, what are the required documents when applying for an AIA? You say the completed application form, a proof of payment, the EIA terms of reference. We'll study that one tomorrow comprehensively. Then a comprehensive project proposal and any other submitted supporting document as instructed. So the process and procedural framework still continues. So the required information in the form will include your name and address, your VAT, and now your TIN. TIN is very important now. Your Corporate Affairs Commission registration number, your company must have that. Names of directors in your company, full address, telephone number, mobile number, email address, post office number, bank name, branch of your bank, and the address, account name and account number, then the details of the project. So upon receipt of the application and required document, there's what we call the initial environmental examination will take place, in which site verification of the project location, scoping of the project, and environmental screening in of the terms of reference will be conducted by the Federal Ministry of Environment. Further, the AI study is carried out, including baseline environmental data gathering and laboratory analysis of samples. Yes, what's the baseline situation, environmental data there? And it will involve you even going to take sample from the site. What is the current pH of their water? What is the current atmospheric, the abundance of oxygen, and a whole lot of parameter. You need to take note of that and report it as the baseline. During this time, submission of hard copies, that is depending. Okay, the baseline data gathering, yes, has to be witnessed by the ministry. And during this time, submission of hard copy, that is depending on the magnitude and category, and an electronic copy of the draft EIA report to the ministry will be required. And after relevant submission and verification, the applicant's request will be approved, and this will be communicated to the applicant through email or phone. Further, an EIA certificate to be issued, and the applicant can collect it by any of the means that will be stipulated. And where there are no adverse environmental impact of the project, the EIA is issued and the project commenced with appropriate mitigation and monitoring measure. Otherwise, within 10 working days of receipt of the proposal, the screening report is sent to the proponent for scoping, and then the preparation of terms of report, or terms of reference. That is after screening and they discover that there is no adverse impact on the environment, the project can commence. But if otherwise, if they find out that the, the level of impact is going to be significant, then within 10 working days, they'll have to do the scoping. Then the TOR embodies the scope of the proposed EIA study, and this is examined, and the scope of the study is defined according to what the Environmental Protection Agency had earlier proposed. The proponent carry out the study generally using consultant, and then the draft EIA in 15 copies submitted to the responsible officer. For this, the draft report to be is completed, and it must include an annex record, the result of public participation in a public forum. So the stakeholder engagement report, you have to attach it. Let them see the minutes and all what was highlighted and given to you to do, to include in the project. You must put that stakeholder engagement report. So for application for EIA, the registration, say you submit the evidence of payment to the Federal Ministry of Environment, you collect the registration through notification form, you return secondly, you return the complete EIA registration form with terms of reference. Part of that is what we have just mentioned, just like a summary of it now. Then site verification will be done along with scoping, will be done afterwards. So evaluation and analysis. The AI study will include baseline data gathering, which I just talked about, submission of the hard copy and electronic copy. The draft EIA report will also be displayed for public review and participation. Then the approval is done by the ministry, and finally, the EIA report is produced. then the submission and approval of the final report and issuance of the EIS certificate, or what we call and then the EIS is also done, and then the impact mitigation monitoring is also carried out on the project by the ministry in collaboration with states, Ministry of Environment and the local government to ensure implementation of conditions of approval, implementation of mitigation measure, and then the environmental management plan. At the commissioning of the project, the impact mitigation monitoring is the closeout for the environmental compliance monitoring. Publication of environmental impact statement, that's the EIS, is important, and I say should also be done in the local language. Then we have what we call the EIA audit of the project. Is conducted and reviewed every 3 years during the project operation cycles. At the decommissioning phase, this is the end of the project. There is also there is no timeline for this document, and the fees required for payment, as earlier said, is 50,000 naira. It should have been upgraded by now. So, for consultation with the public, there's a law, an article on the law that guys, it said the agency shall allow government agency, members of the public, experts in any relevant discipline interested to comment on the environmental impact assessment of the activity. So the agency shall advise the public of the cost of the action concerning the project, any mitigation measure to be implemented concerning the adverse environmental impact of the project, the extent to which recommendations set out in any report submitted by a mediator or review panel have been adopted, and then follow-up program. So all of this, you shall advise the public on the course of action, the mitigation measures to be implemented. They need to be carried along. In general, that is what is being done, so that there won't be conflict on the process of the project implementation. So for the disclosure is for you posting it for others to see. There's also a law guiding it too. And it says that after receiving a mandatory study report in respect of a project, the agency shall, in any manner it considers appropriate, publish in a notice setting out the following information: the date on which the mandatory report shall be available to the public, the place at which copies of the report shall be obtained, and the deadline and address for filing comments on the conclusion and recommendation of the report, so that you don't leave it open-ended. There should be a deadline to which the public can make their input to the document. Receiving a report submitted by a mediator or a review panel, the agency shall make the report available to the public in any manner the council consider appropriate, and shall advise the public that the report is available. So I want to thank you for your audience. Tomorrow we are going to start the environmental impact assessment process. That is the core aspect of what we are discussing in this course. So today we talk about the roles and responsibilities of the stakeholders and how to apply for an EIA. Are there questions? Are there comments? Are there contributions that we can make within the remaining 6 minutes before we close for today? The floor is open. Thank you. Right. George, please. Akanyi.
Thank you very much, sir, for an insightful lecture. Sir, listening to you, I'm coming from a statistics background. I've acquired so much knowledge from this. It makes me think a lot. Let's take the scenario of Dangote Cement in Boko. I have a friend who lives around that area where he was growing up. So upon consuming the water around there and using it, he has this teeth problem that made him presently he has no teeth in his mouth. I now come to understand through these lectures that the green plants, the water bodies, the aquacultural this thing there, and then some fishermen had no jobs. That is to say, there was an impact on the environment around that place. So, and EIA was conducted before Dangote had the license to build the factory in that place. Doesn't it mean these companies that impact the environment has a long-term agenda that has adverse effect on the society than what they actually provide at the moment? Thank you, sir.
Wait first. You spoke some heavy grammar there. Break it down for us to understand.
What I mean is, I have this feeling that in as much as we have there's development in our environment through building these companies and factories. They have a long-term effect on our own lives and then the environment that we don't see at the moment.
Yes.
So why do we now issue EIA to such companies, knowing fully well that they may have a long-term effect that we are not seeing at the present? Why giving them this access?
Yes, there's what they call the environmental audit, okay, and which should also take place within the project cycle as well too. So, if at the point of developing the EIA that was not was missed out during the period of audit as well, that can be recaptured, okay, and if it is captured and you have to, one way or the other, profile mitigation measures. Like when they talk about the cement dust escaping from that vent, there are modern technologies that will filter it back and reprocess it to become cement again for people to use. Dangote will have to go and spend more to ensure that they get that particular technology to stop distributing that terrible carcinogenic dust into the environment. The same thing that was proposed even for the oil and gas industry about gas flaring, that gas flaring can actually be stopped, and it entails the oil companies that has those refineries to ensure that these important gas that are being flared into the environment and is destroying the ozone layer and the rest, that those gas can be recycled to provide cooking gas for you and I. All those proposals and alternatives are part of what audits they bring out in the project cycles in order to ensure that some of those risks and impact of project are adequately mitigated. So even if it is missed at the point of approval, it can actually, something can be done about it over time. And if it means human life or the existence of the people there, their life, government can actually wade in as well too, and can stop the project. It has happened before. So maybe you want to contribute something, Evans. You may speak, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for the lectures, Prof.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
My question is, I work with the Plateau State Ministry of Environment and Mineral Development. And being a state government organization, we do have certain challenges where we have Nestria, which is started with monitoring activities of most of the, because in JOS we have so many tin processing companies, mineral processing companies that are established. And then most of those companies are situated within residential areas. And there are so many of them within community. The risk with the such community space is that some of those minerals that are processed tend to leach because they are radioactive. They tend to leach into the surrounding water bodies, either well or streams. While some the dust is also carcinogenic, is also dangerous for people living within the areas where those companies are situated, because they are situated within houses, communities. So the challenge sometimes when we go for monitoring and enforcement, sometimes you say they have already gotten their environmental management plan from NETRA, are giving them some clearance. So they are operating under the guidance of NETRA. And then at the same time, Federal Ministry of Solid Mineral, because there are certificates that have been issued by Federal Ministry of Solid Mineral. So at the end of the day, they said the state is limited in some of enforcing some of these enforcement measures, because we said most of the, like in the case of solid mineral, they said it's strictly exclusive, it's in exclusive list. So the state have no influence or power over it. So when we go to Nestra again, they said it's the mode of operation. So the synergy, and most of the companies tend to capitalize on this lacuna, and then at the end of the day, the people are affected. So this is my challenge, sir. Hello.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this point you made is an important one. A situation whereby the sectorial synergy is just not there. Rather, it's just looking like one sector is oppressing the other. And when you see that there are obvious environmental, health, and social concerns, but you just cannot do anything about it, because a sector that seems to also be higher than you in terms of hierarchy, the level, the federal, the state, and then the local government. The federal has already issued approval. But I think it is possible to, just as one of the person in Nezra made us to understand, I think that was made us to understand in the morning, that you can actually stay right and make your complaint known, that these are the issues, the ongoing issues on ground. Because it's just that we really don't, the people, we don't really know our rights. That's why some of these, even the government themselves, they are not having strong litigation as concerning the misuse of some of these projects. They just come, you carry it out, irrespective of whatever it does to the environment or to human health. So you are also trying to help themselves. So whatever be the issue, just because of it. And if those things are not solved, and you can link a particular health case, like what somebody just said just now, as concerning a friend not having teeth again, if you can prove it, okay, and link it, because there are scientific basis for that. If there are scientific and you can prove it, it becomes a court case that you can win and claim a lot of damages. So I'll leave that open for others to also contribute. Zungu, I want you to be the last person to comment, to show the assignment, and then we'll move. We close for today. Please,
Okay.
you may speak.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank
you for the lecture so far. It has been excellent and expressive and very expressive. My question is regarding the value chain.
Okay.
Yes, I think we are from the financiers to the watchdogs, which is the NGOs and the proponents. So mine is in terms of the NGOs. For the watchdogs, who funds the watchdogs? How do they get their funding, their NGOs? What I would like to understand, maybe for example, I don't want to key into the value chain of being a consultant, and I want to set up an NGO. How does that work? For us, we are not yet, we probably have don't have knowledge or exposure yet into such fields. I just want to get clarity on that, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Like there are several. I may not know so many names of at the moment, but I believe it's out there online. There are several money that is being, one of my friends would say, being thrown to the air by international funders. All you need to do is just to key into it. And if they can prove the credibility of your organization, of course, you can see that you have the structure to carry out project in line with that. There are a lot of international bodies. I happen to know a little of those from the health sector because my wife happens to work at the health sector. There is, in fact, even Bill and Melinda Gates, they fund it. All you need to do is to go to their site and look at what they are funding, their mandate or their focus, and then you align yourself with that. You write proposal. When they see your proposal and find out that you have the capacity, the structure in order to carry out such project, why not? They give you the project. So you become an NGO and then you employ others to ensure that the focus of that particular donor in Nigeria, wherever you are carrying out the project, is being carried out. So there are series of them online.
Okay.
The even African Development Bank, they fund too. There are projects that they fund. All you need to do is just to write a project that align yourself with that. And when you come to implementation now, you are implementing a particular project. You come to Benue State. You just have to identify, if it is environment related, you have to identify with the Ministry of Environment. They'll have to monitor your activities as well too. If your own focus is enforcement, if it is provision of a particular amenity or the other, like those in the Ministry of Environment, those that are in the HIV prevention area, the Federal Ministry of Health monitors them. Those that are into maternal and child health, the Federal Ministry of Health monitor them, okay? Through the FP coordinator, okay, family planning coordinator, and so they have departments that handle each of that, and they also provide guides on the extent to which you go within a particular state. So some of them also become stakeholders because you are doing something related to the environment. They stand a very good chance to advise you. They stand a very good chance to make input in your EIA process and so on and so forth. Sorry, time is not on our side. Wange, you want to say something with respect to that? Please, you may help out. Moses, Wange. Wange, you can unmute. If you cannot, okay, go on. Quickly, just briefly. Thank you.
I wanted to make a contribution to the cement factory issue that the other questionnaire brought up.
Okay.
Not this very one you are speaking about.
No problem. Go ahead so that we round up quickly. We are behind time now.
Okay, thank you, sir. As regard to the Benue cement factory in Boko, in the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken, when that company was established, at the time, the EIA that was produced at that time, and if you look at some of the EIA decrees that Prof was mentioning, some of them later came later. But that company, I think it was in the mid 80s or thereabout, when there was no framework about environmental protection not sufficiently on ground. So at the time, they met up with some of the environmental protection criteria which one of them was that there will be no settlements around the site or the location of that cement company. I think about 1 or 2 kilometers away from the cement factory. And even the quarters that was there at the time, most of them were staffs of the company. So they were being compensated in terms of some of the hazardous impact on them that was existing at the time. And they also have access to some medical health care and so on. But because of urbanization over time, the company found itself in the middle of a town. And then subsequent transfer of ownership from Benin Cement Company to Dangote, I think there was a disconnect in the review, just like Prof has said, when it comes to the environmental audit. The authorities such as Federal Ministry of Environment and to an extent necessary or even the State Ministry, they fail in one way or the other to carry out a proper audit, which in my own opinion, I believe that corruption it also came into play to, to, to stop some of these due processes. And we know very well that Benue Cement as a company emit pollutions, particulate matter, dust, just as Prof has said, and gypsum and calcium oxide. Most of these contaminants dissolve in the water bodies around there. So the proper thing that is required for the company Dangote to do now, which I believe he has not done, is to set up ponds that will collect this dust particles from running water before being exposed to the environment. That has not done, and nobody has gone there for audit or to carry out any effective effective report on this. So I strongly believe that something is going on there, which I believe that there is compromise from the regulatory authority side. Because if you look at gypsum, just like he has said that it affected some of the victims here, they lost their teeth. That is typical of gypsum and some other raw materials that are used in the extraction of limestone or cement. So if thorough investigation is done, I think it will, to an extent, help the locals who are living right now because the population around that very site is increasing. I think these are the things I can contribute and point out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information you have provided. I so much appreciate that. Our time is fast spent. I can see that some people made some comments at the some people made some comment at the chat section. Okay. So permit me, let me see if I could copy some of them at the end and address them tomorrow. I usually don't like overstepping the time so that we remain guided and disciplined all through all through. So I would like us to stop here. If you look at your screen, there is an assignment which is posted there. I will try to read some of the comments, possibly tomorrow morning when we start. I'll respond to some of them. For the assignment, please, I would like you to take a look at it and then attempt answering them before 9 o'clock tomorrow. Just a minute. So the background to it is there. Okay, this is a project overview and so on and so forth. You read it, and the goal is to reduce poverty among this community through the achievement of the SDG goals and to improve the living environment of the community through better access to drinking water, sanitation in 10 Ferokian communes that were covered by the project. So these are the questions. The questions, they are there. You are just to mention the negative impact of each of these activities that are going to be carried out by the, it shouldn't be difficult for you to do. You were taught impact and risk yesterday. Just for you to look at it, this is part of the activities that are going to be carried out in the project. So what is the negative impact on the environment and on the way of life of the people? So you are looking at it from both the environment and the social component. Okay? If you can also include economic cause, I can also take it as well too. But basically, I would like you to think environment and the social component. So group one, you will handle the negative impact of the construction of drinking water supply system, building of 6 water reservoir, and the construction of the primary water distribution network, as well as planting of 10,000 trees along the riparian zone. What are the negative impacts of carrying out these activities? You will answer them. Then group two, yours is the construction of sanitation, of collective sanitation, which include construction of trunk sewers, 30 sanitary facilities, and 300 latrine in public schools. Then the construction of 10 semi-engineered landfills, then the construction of municipal latrine and installation of 20 incinerators. Okay, so what are the negative impacts of carrying out this activity? It shouldn't be difficult with all the tools, the online tools we have. I believe you shouldn't have issues. But this is where it comes in. You'll be wondering, I put group one and group two. You'll be wondering which group did I belong to. So to make it easier, I says for submission, you submit before 9 a.m. tomorrow. Group one student are those students that your application number ends with an even number 02468. Use this link. I'm going to send this document to you. Use this link to answer your question. So I'm also going to look at what
sorry, can I
the
make an
end
observation?
of your
Observation, sir.
One are those students that end with what?
Can I go ahead with my own?
Yes.
Please, sir. We are many, so we have already divided ourselves into about 5 groups. I was thinking
Hold
that
on. Hold on.
Please hold on. Prof is talking. Let him finish first.
So those that their number is ending with an even number, please follow this link, and these are instructions. Even if how will I put it? Even if you have 10 groups before, I'm saying for this class and for this particular submission, group it into 2 for me. It's simple now. Just look at your application number. If it is ending with a 2, you're in group 1. If it is ending with a 4, you're in group 2. Just do it like that for me, please. Then you are in group 2 if your application number is ending with 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. Use this second link and answer it there. It's as simple as that. Just, it shouldn't be difficult. Just put whatever is your submit and then submit before 9 a.m. tomorrow. Then from among you, it can be anybody. Anybody, just prepare a few, just your a PowerPoint, just put group 1 and then put the answers as itemized based on the question asked, and then you present tomorrow, and then we ask you some questions. Other group members also contribute to. Okay, so it shouldn't be something that will generate a lot of questions. It's just how I want it done in this particular engagement. I'm aware you have 5 this thing before, but just follow it this way. But if there are very serious issues, I'd like to hear from you briefly before we round up. Wange, you can go on now.
Okay, thank you, sir. You have answered my question. Some of my worries that I was having, you have cleared it. But at the
Okay,
same
so
time,
I will send the document.
at the same time, I want to make an appeal that
Appeal.
the questions should be forwarded to our class rep so that he can distribute it on student
I
handbook.
said that now. I said that, please. So I'm going to send this document to you now. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Any other question, please? All right. We are far. All right. Please go on. Richard, are you the one talking? Somebody just called my name.
Yes, Prof. I'm the one, sir.
Okay, go on, please. Quickly.
During your lecture, I learned something, and from the grouping you did, from the grouping you did, I don't know, but will the presentation be done using PowerPoint, or it can be done using voice note individually or as a leader of the group?
Anybody that has PowerPoint, it's written, anybody that has a PowerPoint you present, you project it tomorrow. But if you don't have and you want to contribute, you can make additional comment. I put it down there, the last point there. I said presentation, by each group will start by that time. One presenter for each group, and then additional 3 to 5 comments can be made to support what the presenter has said for each group. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. We've seen it, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. This is class rep. We are going to create 2 WhatsApp groups immediately just for this assignment.
Okay.
Yeah, so that all as the numbers, as we mentioned, all the even numbers, we will separate ourselves into the groups for the purpose of this assignment, so that after the assignment, maybe the groups will be collapsed.
So that you don't have plenty groups. Is it even necessary?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it necessary? Okay, well, if you feel it will not be too much of having plenty groups, you can just...
We already have a community, sir.
Okay, I said that.
We have created a community that groups can be added onto.
It's okay.
So it also creates 2 additional groups, so that those that are numbers are even numbers and odd numbers can just separate themselves into those groups for the purpose of deliberating on their assignment. Thank you, sir.
It's okay. Please, all right, thank you. I want to appreciate all of you for your time and for your contribution. So permit me to end the meeting now. I'll send the... Yes, thank you for those reactions. Thank you, Akanyi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
In the morning. All right. Thank
you, sir.
Appreciate you. Yeah, Godwin, Igbawa,
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Well done, sir.
Also, Dapper Gift. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Susan, Uchenna, Debbie, Ibrahim, Florence, Tokuma, Ajumbi, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you all. So see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Tomorrow, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Amen. Thank you. Philemon, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.